which she does. And everybody that I have spoken to that knows Angela said to me, she not only speaks about spirituality, but she walks the talk. So,
Right.
yeah, she's very different, very unusual. And I'm so proud, as I am with you, to call her a very dear friend.
Yeah, she's really beautiful, and I love how she lights up when she tells stories, and she has so many stories to tell. So I'm very, very grateful for having her on the show, having the ability to have her on the show, and look forward to seeing if we can get her attention to get her back on the show to dig deeper into her experiences to share with our guests. That being said, our next subject. So, this episode, Peter and I had so many different things to say from last time. We only get an hour to speak about the things we want to share with you. And there's just all these little tidbits that we've been kind of leaving behind. So, I wanted to take this time to address these ideas that we've had. We were on Soul Searcher being interviewed. We got to be on the Broom and be interviewed. Thank you to Julie for that experience, because we were there for we were supposed to have an hour interview. It winded up being 2 hours, and it was really rich in the experience that we got to have. Um, there's things like the new time that we're in, the ascension time. We're in ascension era, if you will, talking about how we are leveling up in energy, and that we say those things, but what does that mean? What does it mean that we're in a time of ascension, or that we're leveling up, or some things have to go, or some things have to come in? And Peter, do you want to kick that off first, or should I keep going?
Well, you can keep going. I will give my tidbits astrologically what is happening. I do want to say to you, Teresa, that we are in untried territory right now, meaning we have not experienced what we're going through right now. The last time I believe we went through this was around 1776, when our forefathers decided to come together and actually create and sign the Declaration of Independence. So, right now, many of us, including myself, are going through a spiritual evolution. We're going through major transformation within our etheric bodies and our physical corporeal bodies, but we're going through energy changes. And I'm going to let you continue what you were saying, but I did want to interject that.
Okay. Is there any Are there any specific astrological things going on right now that are either contributing to this time or show us why this time is so special?
Well, why this time is so special right now is because Pluto, which is an outer planet,
Mm-hmm.
and some astronomers don't recognize Pluto as being a planet anymore, but Pluto moved in it left Capricorn, which is associated with the 10th house, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. It moved out of Capricorn on January 21st, and it has continued to be in Aquarius. It started going retrograde May 1st, continued through June, and then in July now, Pluto is still in retrograde, and it will be there up until um, exactly, I'm looking at it, September 2nd. It goes back into Capricorn in retrograde, and it will continue through Capricorn retrograde up until October 12th of this year, where it goes direct. So, what is happening with Pluto? It's going from Capricorn, which governs our country. It also governs when we were in around 1776, we were going through the radical changes. And right now, with Pluto switching between Capricorn and Aquarius, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. It is a fixed air sign. So we're going through radical energy changes. People are feeling it. People are going from feeling that they're reorganizing their lives, their direction, the trajectory. They're reassessing their home situation. So we're being pulled right now. We're being pulled in finding out who we really are. And we really are spiritual beings having a physical incarnation. But with all of this, I also wanted to say, and I may be all over the place, but there's a lot going on.
I know.
We also have transitioning Aries. And what is happening, we have the North Node in Aries and the South Node is in Libra, which means more and more people are coming into their own and they're going within to find out who they really are. Forgetting their job, forgetting the family, forgetting all of that. People want to know who they really are.
Right. I think it's a balance right now, too, between, if you think about it, Capricorn is really about structure and having a fixed structure, almost historical structure. And whenever Uranus comes into anything, it's eccentric and disruptive. And it just comes in, and whatever you have there, it doesn't matter because it's just going to do what it wants to do. It beats to its own drum. So I think that we're feeling, or we can even in some ways visibly see our, I don't want to say struggle, but like our new balancing act between the structure of what was with the new energy that's coming in. And again, Aries with the self and Libra with other. So the other is our family, our business, our how we deal with the people in the outside world outside of us. And then also people going inward, feeling like who am I? And this is not just astrologically, this is numerology supports the astrology, the energy, or the historical foretellings, whether it be Buddhist history text or different religions. They have predicted this time to be, and we could very viscerally in the energy fields feel that changes. The more sensitive somebody is to energy, the more they're aware that these changes are happening. And, part of why we have this podcast is that for us, we have had a lot of different experience with energy. It doesn't mean we know everything, but it means that we have a certain tool set to use when things change, or a foundation to lean on, so that as things change, we kind of have an understanding of need to step left, need to step right. Even if we learn new tools, we can plug them right into a foundation because we've done so much work in energy and spiritual. But for the individuals who are now going through this new time, but have not had the same ability to create a tool set or be aware of the value of the tool set, this podcast is to, in a way, it's not the only reason, but to supplement the tool set to individuals to explain why things are going as they are and ways that we can help you. And that's one of the elements that we've always had a passion for in expressing to you through this podcast. But with so many interesting people and things to share with you, we haven't really had as much time as we'd like to be able to flesh out that toolkit, which is kind of what this podcast is about right now. So Peter and I each have a story to show as an example to this kind of time. So Peter, you want to go first, or should I?
Why don't you go first?
Okay. So my story is today I met a friend a couple months ago. Her and I have been getting along very well. The alignment between us has been very strong. And I say to her, I would really like it for you to meet these people in particular. And she's like, I'm open to that. And we were talking about her vacationing to New York because she lives in Kentucky. And I said, there's these two friends I have in particular that I'd really love for you to meet. And I'm like, let me reach out to them now to see if we could set up a time that would be compatible for us all to interact with each other. So she's like, okay. So I messaged my first friend, and she she's like, oh, she starts getting back to me with her answer. And then I message my second friend and I say, same thing. And she goes, honey, I'm so happy to talk to you. I love you so much. But I happen to be on a plane going to Kentucky right now. And I go, oh, really? So my friend who I'm trying to get to meet everyone is in Kentucky. I said, well, what part are you going to? She says Lexington. I go, well, my friend lives in Lexington. Well, where's the airport in relation to you? 5 miles away. Oh, okay. And then to expound upon that, the friend who my current friend was going to go see said, oh, well, I need to go to this location tomorrow. And when you got here, I was going to ask if you would come. It happens to be the place that my friend works. So, so they're going to meet each other tomorrow. And it's this kind of synchronicity that's taking place, even if we're not trying now, that we can say on a positive note is the hallmark of things like this, that if something is meant to happen for you, it will be happening for you. And there's no resistance to it. You're planting the seeds and things are unfolding. It was so fun to have that experience today. Hi, photos. And then to Peter, to lend an introduction into Peter's story, we have been talking about the changes that have been going on lately. Pros, where we have positive feelings, very synchronistic events that are unfolding. But then there's also the shedding and releasing side of it, and the emotions that go with releasing the old self, releasing maybe people or relationships that are no longer in alignment to us. So we've been collecting all this data, and we got to pick out of the data what to share with you for the hour. So without further ado, if you want to take that away, Peter, and speak on that.
Yeah, I wanted to say to you, I have found that since I have moved, my life is changing in radical ways. And I believe that we have people that come into our lives not by accident, but by synchronicity and past life experiences. And I find more and more people now, there's certain individuals that I welcome in my life and I continue to be friends with them. But I'm also finding as I'm growing and I'm effectuating changes in my life and I'm becoming more of whom I should be, I'm
Right.
letting go of past relationships that no longer really have merit for me. And some people are getting a little upset about it and saying, why aren't we continuing to connect? But this is what life is all about here. We
Right.
learn our lessons from people that we come into contact with, and we wish them the best and we want to grow. But in some cases, we will be going on our trajectory on our own. And I'm saying goodbye to people, wishing them the best. And my life is changing for the better. And it's a good experience. So we had talked about that earlier.
Yeah. I think that, you want to stay, or there's the positives of things that are ongoing right now. And the positives are we're stepping into our own. We are more willing to be confident, to blaze into our authenticity, a path. We're looking. I think the most important first step of any kind of change is the confidence to begin looking. Something inside rattles and inside of us and says, where I want whatchamacallit, where am I going to go from here? My life that was my life, or that has been my life, no, all of a sudden feels like a sweater that's too tight. I shrunk it in the wash, and I can't get this shape of the sweater back right. And it's like now you're looking for a new article of clothing, and you're trying to figure out who you are. And maybe you've been wearing this sweater since 1980 and it's the only identity you've known for a really long time, and you are so in a groove of seeing yourself in that sweater. But now times are different. So now, as we engage into exploring what makes us different and what's to wear, the clothing options have changed dramatically since 1980. And now we're in 2024. And some of the clothes, might as well be a space suit by comparison. So now it's like, oh my God, that is a strong first reaction to exploring the new self, to exploring the new identity. And then when we explore our identity and we begin to make changes inside, now we see those changes that are happening inside start to manifest on the outside, whether they be relationships, jobs, marriages, relationships with our children, relationships with our friends. I have a lot of friends or people that I counsel or people who come to my classes saying, this person is now no longer in my life, and it just suddenly happened. And depending on their spiritual journey or their energetic awareness, depends on how they accept that radical change that's transpiring. The people who have had the opportunity to study more spiritual, awareness, they have the opportunity to say, "Okay, Sarah, I let you go with love. You're in alignment. I'm in alignment with myself. We're making decisions that suit us best. If we're no longer going in the same trajectory, I wish you the best trip wherever you go." And even though there may be some degree of grief or sadness or, an emotion there's more of an understanding that if this is leaving, then this something ahead is in alignment to me, and I look forward to that. Had they not had that experience, that's where the suffering, the grief, the tension, the anger, the frustration, the fighting come from, where now instead of letting go with ease and understanding, those who are, your vibe attracts your tribe, they're going to leave. So now we see ourselves that it's so important, whether no matter what emotion you're feeling, to create a baseline for yourself, to begin to understand that our physical body is our densest vibration. It vibrates, it moves, it appears physical, but it's moving very slowly. We have our energetic body, our emotional body around that one, our intellectual body around that one, a spiritual body, a psychic body. These are our metaphysical bodies. Even though we don't see them, they're metaphysical. We can feel them. And this contributes to our auric field. And even last night on Psychic Zen, when we were talking about it, we were saying, did the dis-ease, when people have diseases or illness, it often begins in the metaphysical bodies rather than the physical one, and works its way down because we chew on it without letting it go. I'm not good, I'm not deserving, I'm not this, and then the physical manifests in illness. And the same way the physical manifests in illness by thinking a thought that works against us, there is the opposite of that, where healing and transformation can come about when we decide to finally process something, when we decide to finally let something go, to let it work for us. So in part, what Peter and I want to share with you is how to let it work for you. If you're angry, you're sad, you're hurting because these changes are happening, first, we need to recognize we're not in control, that there's so much more to life than we've ever experienced before. And even though it's always been there, there's more people who are becoming aware of what has always been now more than ever. And if you have not studied or you had not been guided to a spiritual path before, most people are now being awakened to now be introduced to what it means to have a spiritual path. The energy or the spirit is ever present, and it is what animates the physical. So we, if we've lived in the physical and separated ourselves from the spiritual, which is really, in my opinion, due to society, if you look at Chinese medicine, they address the whole body until about 1950, where they took out the emotional and spiritual nature of the bodies and only focused on the physical. And from 1950s onward, there was a big severing of these ideologies or of these practices, that instead of a whole body holistic approach to medicine in life, it got separated to be able to make a division between, oh, it's too much to read this subject is too big to deal with, we don't have time for 5 different ideas of breath, we just have breath, and we started cutting it down to make it convenient into modern life. Not we, but the idea of like the US did in Western Hemisphere. So now is our time to return to a more holistic whole approach into our bodies, into our relationships with ourselves.
Well, I also wanted to say, if people in our viewing audience know the history, Hippocrates, who was the father of medicine, said no doctor can practice medicine without a knowledge of astrology, because back then astrology and medicine were inextricably connected. So yes, you're right, we have many layers and we have to treat the whole individual, not just one aspect of the body or the mind, but the whole individual. And I believe the Chinese have been doing that for centuries. So we are what we think. In a lot of ways, people that come to me and say to me, "Why am I sick all the time?" I ask them, what are they thinking most of the time that is causing the thought process to manifest on the body. So the
Right.
mind and body do work together.
Right. And the thoughts feed the emotions. So, like, I say this
Yeah.
a lot, but I say it because of the value of it. Thoughts feed the feelings, feelings feed the mind. It generates more ego, it generates
Yes.
attachment. What we believe dictates our reality. We're 95% of the time we're operating out of the subconscious, whatever is in the subconscious. And it's a harder thing to reconstruct what lives in the subconscious. So we need to understand what job is it doing, and then how do we work with it. So if I give you guys a tip or a tool right now, understanding that the word choice we use from a day-to-day basis, our brain is listening, our subconscious is recording and reacting to the words that we speak. Our bodies are responding and recording the words that we speak. And then this compounds one day to the other. So we have our experiences in child rearing between the ages of 0 and 7. Between 0 and 7, our supercomputer brain is taking in everything about our environment, from our parents, love, relationships, money, everything. We're just downloading everything at a hyper speed. Around 7, the computer slows down and says, okay, I've downloaded everything I need to know now. I'm good. I got it all in here. That's the foundation we work off of. And when you understand, the subconscious helps you to hold a fork when you eat, how to safely cross a road when you come to it, how to remember words. It's this Rolodex of your existence.
Yes.
We want it to be like Fort Knox to get into, but then how do we navigate the healing that goes with it for us to reprogram what's in it? Because if you were not shown a good example of a relationship, or a good example about your money, or a good example of spirituality, it's not going to be laid in here right. It's going to be a bug in the system, but it doesn't mean the system is flawed. It means you need to address the bug. Right. So in the morning time, when we're waking up and when we're going to sleep, this is when the mind, the subconscious, is the most relaxed. All the guards that surround it throughout the day, they put fewer guards on duty. It's easier to get in there and have the conversation. So we can use word choice at this time, or set intentions, or recalibrate what's in there. A lot of what we do to get ourselves to a higher way of being, or to create a deeper self-awareness, is to go within and start taking inventory about what lives in here. And I can speak from experience for all of the different, I know Pete can too, because he does readings and life coaches. Between being, doing readings, teaching classes, And the coaching that we do, that's the part that scares a lot of people half to death, because they haven't checked in a very long time, if ever. And now you're asking them to check in, and it's crickets, it's silence, it's crying, it's anger, it's frustration, it's not knowing where to begin. So we're taking this experience and sharing it with you, saying, hey, if this is you, if you have not yet checked in, how do you begin the process of checking in before you even get, like, first do you acknowledge you are a spirit, and you're always going to be more spirit than you ever are physical.
Yes.
And now at the same time, while you're having this opportunity to go and check in, almost like being forced externally to go within, because as we're ascending, the old stuff has to be dealt with so that we can keep raising in vibration, because that's what we're supposed to do. Our vibration is going to raise no matter what. It's almost like a filtering system, a spiritually imposed filtering system. So we are going to have to come to terms now with all the aspects of our lives in order to continue on this ascension. So some of you may be out there right now facing off with things you have never thought about or faced off with before. And that's what Peter and I are saying, like, hey, if you need that point of guidance, we've been through that. And we have that foundation from our own personal experiences and the other people that we've helped. And in part why we created this podcast, to have the discussions, to say, what are you going through and how can we help you go through that? And in discussing what you've experienced, we're now also sharing it with other people, if you're open to it, if you want that, to create that hub of communication. You get where I'm going?
I also wanted to interject this, Teresa. I have found in my practice, which I've been doing for about 25 or 30 years, I have found with many people that I meet that are very highly evolved and very successful, when they come to me, they already have gone through the stages of working through the deprogramming and reprogramming, and they all have a common theme. They all say that they were raised to believe that they could achieve and be and do whatever they thought in their minds they were capable of doing. And a
Right.
lot of people that I've met in my readings that have become not only wealthy physically in the physical incarnation, but have become very wealthy in the spirit world, the spirit part is congruent with the physical, and they think and they meditate and they focus in on all the positive things that they can do, not only for themselves, for other people. They teach each other people with life coaches, and I have seen miraculous things happen to people in a very short period of time. I have had to deal with people that have been molested, incest. I mean, we can go on, but they haven't accepted that they were victims. They decided that they were going to turn it around spiritually. They work with a spiritual life coach to heal that part of themselves, which was unconscious, subconscious, and conscious. And
Right.
they have learned how to become amazing authors, writers, TV producers. We really are so much more than what we are taught when we were in school. And what
Right.
I also found out is, if we eliminate fear from our lives and doubt, you can accomplish whatever you set your mind to do. It is fear that in most of us growing up that we're instilled from school, from kindergarten to college, whatever. Society tells us who we are, what we are, and what we're going to do. And more people today are repudiating this, and they're not capitulating to this, and they're deciding to come into the spiritual realm and really find out how they can change their lives. And that's why I think we're here too.
Right. I mean, there's been moments that have occurred in my life personally, I can say the priest isn't going to figure it out with me. My parents aren't figuring it out with me. My friends don't know about it. I can't go to my family members to process what's happened here. Who is the guiding source that's going to help me make sense of what has happened here?
Yes.
And, you know, finding my Buddha master, Nancy, she's the one that really gave me that comfort of company, of explaining to me why I was tapping in, because prior to having her, I would just know things about people. You know, oh, you're a psychic, you're a medium. I don't know. I just know I see your grandma. I don't know. I just know that, you know, this is what's going to happen for you if you go make this choice. That's what I know. So being able to get clarity on these gifts, like, you know, and you and I had this conversation too, Pete. So many more people now more than ever are waking up to their gifts,
Yes.
whether they are intuitive, psychic, medium, a channeler. There's so many different ways to make contact with the energetic and non-physical. We all have this hardware. We all have this gift. Some of us were born with a less interrupted connection, so to speak, or where we plug into. Because as a psychic, wherever the information is coming from is very important. And
Yes.
it's important to understand that if we, our gut feeling, where who are we connected to? What are we connected to? Where's that information coming from? Does it make us feel good when we get it? Does it make us feel like we're powerful? Or, you know, are we empowered in a high energy, in a high vibrational energy of love, and we're feeling great because we're empowered with love? Or is it a false power that will lead to places we don't want to be because we've plugged into something else that's different? And these are the little nuances that as you explore your spiritual gifts, you kind of navigate, or you look for someone who has experience that you feel good with. Like for me, I have total confidence when I work with Nancy, knowing that the energy is always in a very high vibrational place. So she has my trust. And I feel the same way about when I work with Pete, or when, you know, the individuals that we choose to work with, because the energy is very high. We're plugged into it. And it, one of the questions on the broom was about our spiritual practices. And what Peter and I were able to share is that we really don't drink. Very, very rarely. Pete doesn't even drink at all. I maybe drink like 3 times. We don't introduce drugs into our body. We meditate on a daily basis. We want to make sure that we are giving, like, I like how Julie said it. She said, being responsible, that when you are a reader, a psychic, a medium, you have a responsibility to the people who are, that you are reading for, to give them the best energy from the highest source. And that's the mantra that Pete and I live against, is I want to be the most purified vessel to give you this energy, and to know that the messages that we are giving you are coming from truth, coming from clarity, coming from love, and really are for your best and highest good. And so when you're exploring, when you're choosing somebody, you want to sit across the table from somebody that your insides feel like, when you sit in front of them, that they give you a sense of ease and trust and alignment and joy and giddiness. I think giddiness is a way of knowing that you're sitting in front of the right people. Alignment, right? What does alignment feel like to you, Pete?
Alignment feels as if whatever I'm doing at the time, that it's going with ease. When I actually, and I do this in the morning, I pray in the morning to God, to whatever cosmic force there is, but for me it's God. And I align myself in a state of love. I say, God, I am going to start my day, and everything today is me giving up my will to you, and my love for you, and my trust in you. And then when I do that, the day just seems to flow. It's the congruency, it's the energy. And I have had people come to me and say to me, why don't things ever work out for me? And they say they don't, because this one I don't like, That one I don't like. I don't trust this one. I don't trust, but I don't know why what's wrong with my day. And I go, you just answered your own question. You don't like
Right.
this person. You hate this person. You don't trust. I said, that's all negativity. How do you expect anything positive to come out of negativity?
It's true. And that's see, I feel like I would capture what you just said in a bottle because I feel like it's the essence of you. Your humor, your levity, your lightness, your fun. But it's true, you know, and this is part of why I think there's pockets of places in one's life that you don't even realize it's energy or it's spirit. And
Yes.
positive versus negative thoughts, you get negative results. Positive thoughts, you get positive results. When you ask source to guide you to anything and everything, you know. So my mantra in the morning is a little bit source and a little bit Abraham Hicks. Source, I ask that you do that which is for my best and highest good in the fifth dimension today and every day. And then also Abraham Hicks has this mantra: today I will look for reasons to feel good. Nothing is more important than me feeling good. It's a brand new day. Whatever happened yesterday happened yesterday.
Is that Abraham speaks with Hicks is her the last
Esther Hicks, yes, yes.
Esther Hicks,
I
yes.
love her.
Yeah, I have studied, I've read Abraham Speaks for years. Wonderful energy. I know people that know them, and that, yeah, it's an amazing energy, and all of the information, the spiritual guidance that they speak about. I am congruent with it. I enjoy it.
That's another thing. If it feels good, and there's a
Yes,
difference, you know, there's a difference. Feels good low energy, feels good high energy. Feels good high energy gives you life. It makes you feel alive and empowered
that
and
was.
joyful and light and like anything is possible. It just gives you this great wonderful liftoff feeling, and you don't question, you don't stop to question if something is right, because you just have an inner knowing that it's exactly right, and you're going with it, and you have a cooperative component to it, and the people, places, and things that you're doing, it just inspires total knowing and confidence,
Yes,
you know. And
absolutely.
I'd like to see a world where everyone has the opportunity to feel this way. I think that would be the ideal living of the fifth dimension. And I think when we talk
Hmm.
about ascension, that's where we're going. And when we talk about um, you know, how we're going through it now to get to the other side, I think, you know, as Rumi has that quote that, you know, our job is, our work is not to become love. Our job is to get the blocks out of the way so we can be the love that which we are.
Well,
So we're,
our essence is
yeah,
unconditional love. And to be honest with you, Teresa, in this life, for many people, unconditional love is almost impossible because we love conditionally in this world. If somebody does something for us, we love them. If they go out of their way for us, we love them. If they're there for us, if they assist us, we love them. Unconditional love has no restrictions, it has no boundaries, it has no established what am I going to conditions for loving that person? And it's amazing because I actually watch animals. Animals are one of the most evolved creatures that we have, and even if you hurt an animal, they'll still love you. Eventually, they may become very guarded. But we were given dogs and cats and little animals in order to enrich our lives, and our true essence is love without restriction.
right. And I believe that. And I think that, you know, there are so many things past tense that have happened that generate fear or looking out for something or survival. We want to be
Yes.
able to stay alive. We want to live in peace. And there's been this stress that came down through ages, stress and other types of emotions that go parallel to stress. And I think one of the most profound experiences that you can experience, that you can have in healing, is the return to innocence, is the return to surrender. Because
Yes.
you say, you know what, I don't know the answer. I want to know the answer. I want to live in a world where I am comfortable, where I can trust my neighbor, where I can trust my partner, where I can trust myself, where I can trust you know, that things are going to work out for me. I can trust the income that I receive. I can trust that God is real. I can trust that God's there for me. There's all these various things that if we knew, if we really, really knew that things work out for us, we would have a lot less stress.
Well, I wanted to say this to you, if I may. We are the creator of the most empowered, the most magnificent, the most incredible source in the universe. Well, if we're that source's children, then we are entitled to the magnificent, to the gifts that
Right.
that creator has. So
Right.
I wake up in the morning and I go, well, if my spiritual father created all this, what do I lack?
And I think that's like the nugget. Like for me, I say God is the gift, the giver, and the receiver. God has
Yes,
numerous channels that I know not of that God will provide for me for. And
yes.
these are the little nuances. Like there was a show, it was a documentary with Morgan Freeman where he was talking about people who believe in God have a larger frontal cortex, have an easier time navigating life. It was the very belief that there was a God and the connection to God that help people have stronger mental health, stronger ability to be resilient, a happier disposition. And they were talking about all of these positives that came from just having some kind of connection to nature and source, whatever that may be. You know,
Right.
and I think it's important to whatever book we get into, you know, like I'm not religion I feel like wants to tell you to, let me rephrase that. There are those who are religious that are open hearted and say, all religion leads to love. I love you. You're a Christian, you're a Catholic, you're Islam, you're whatever you are. I love you. And we're all here to live in the harmony of love. And there's other religious individuals that say, well, mine's right and yours is wrong. Get with the program. And I think it's important, or what I've realized in my spiritual journey, is that you don't have to do anything anyone tells you to do to be loved by God,
Correct.
to be connected to the divine, because you are the divine. And going outside, hugging a tree, going outside, saying thank you, or asking collective cosmic consciousness, I want to see your truth and I want to live in mine. I'm here and I'm listening. The more simple and neutral oftentimes leads to the most profound path. Have you had that experience as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I what also amazes me is I have met, even with children, the innocence and the love that comes from that. And you were talking about the innocence before. When we are children, we are innocent. And as we grow up with all the parent teaching and the pedagogy and the schooling and whatever, that we're pretty much robbed of. But if you, and I've met adults, I have met adults, and this is truth, and I'm not putting anybody down by any means. I've met children that had Down syndrome and adults that had Down syndrome, or that they were mentally challenged. They are the most loving, trusting souls in this life, and they want to come over and hug you. I don't know where it's lost in our society, but if we can retain that godlike innocence in everything we do, I think we'd be living in a much more productive, harmonious world than we're living in right now.
I agree, which is why I said it's such a profound word, because when we go through healing and we've had trauma or stress or compounding of a lot of harsh emotions to deal with,
Yes.
one of the things that gets lost is our playfulness or our innocence. So even saying, I can return to innocence. I can return to my childlike nature because I know that God is leading me and I lead myself through God. we can a God, source, creator, the I am, whatever terminology you want to use to name it, it's leading us where we're supposed to be. So I have good news for you, Peter. Our guest has arrived for the evening. We, ladies and gentlemen, would like to introduce you to a very good friend of ours that we've made. She is beautiful, very highly evolved. She is a beautiful channeler. So our next episode, we have some really great tidbits to talk about the differences between being a medium, a psychic, a channeler, different kinds of healing techniques for you guys to use. And this is a new friend we'd like to take on that journey to offer you that information. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Ash Banta to our podcast Cosmic Tea Hour. Hi, Trini.
How are you?
Hi, Ash.
Hi, I'm good.
That's wonderful.
I'm good. How are you guys?
Terrific.
Very good. So, Madame Ash, can you please tell us about yourself?
Yeah, so I am a psychic medium. I'm a channeler, a teacher, and I'm also, it's like a side thing, is a paranormal investigator. I've always been an empath, but it wasn't until the past few years that I've actually tapped into the consciousness and what you guys were saying earlier, become awaken. And so now I'm just starting my own business, and I meet lovely people like you.
What is your own business?
So it hasn't opened up yet. It's going to open in a week and a half. It's my first business. I'm super excited about it. But it's where I will be doing channeling and teaching and psychic mediumship and things like that. So
beautiful. So I had a couple questions for you. Peter, do you have any questions for our new friend before we get going? I see you smiling. That's why I'm asking.
No, actually, I'm taking in her wonderful energy. And actually, my guides are asking me to ask, do you have any, do you ascribe to any school of thought thinking, or the work that you are doing now? Is it something that you have trained yourself to do?
I did get a couple of certificates in remote viewing, but no, I did not go to school. This is something that I was born with.
Okay.
I did shut it off for many years, but I ended up teaching myself.
You did teach yourself. Wow. Because what I want to say to you, that the guides are telling me you had that knowledge within your soul when you came in, and it was stored in your soul. So that's where this wonderful ideologies and the wisdom and knowledge are coming from. So that's why I had asked you that. Yeah, but I love your energy. It's terrific.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. You're so accurate.
Ash and I had met on a different podcast, and as soon as we met, we locked eyes and we had soul recognition. And then after we were on the podcast together, we sat for another 2-3 hours after the phone call. We gave each other readings. We were talking about the energy, what's going on in your ascension experience, this is what's going on in mine. And we just had ourselves a wonderful time talking for 3 hours. And I was like, I feel like I've known you my whole life. And that's, in part why Ash has come here today, because we've been in contact since that happened. And the parallels just keep getting tighter and tighter.
Well, I'm going to ask Ash, could I ask what your date of birth is?
I didn't hear you. You cut out.
Oh, could I ask what your date of birth is?
Yes, it is August 29th, 1988.
August 29th of 1988. Do you know what time you were born?
8:45 p.m.
8:45 p.m. Well, I already know you're a master soul. Do you know that?
Yes.
All right, good. So
Yes.
I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Boy, you came in to achieve a lot in this life.
Mm,
Mhm.
My
yes.
goodness, you really did. And this is your year. Wow. This is your year. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Right.
Yay!
So I
Yeah.
got to meet Ash, and Peter spoke to Ash on the phone. But now that we're here with
Hmm.
Ash and Peter, seeing her energy, it's the first time they've been able to see each other. So I love, like, see, this is what I'm talking about that feeling of alignment and rightness, where you see
Mm.
someone or you're exposed to something, and all of a sudden you just have this complete clarity and understanding. You know what they are, you know what they're all about, you feel connected to it, and there's no resistance, there's no block saying, hey, this isn't the right thing. There's just only, I know this is 100% the right thing.
Oh, yes.
Now down the road, I don't know if you thought about it, but down the road they are showing me a book. So you're going to be writing or co-writing a book with somebody.
So, have you ever heard of like it's like a labyrinth. It's like about Jesus and Mary. They got it. They actually walked this labyrinth and they have them today.
Yes.
So, there's actually one here in Lexington, Kentucky. And it's at a park, like a random park. And so someone showed me where it was at, and I was walking through it. And I got that I was going to write one book, and then I was going to write two books. And then, like, nobody knows that. I held it loosely, and then bam. I was like, yes, thank you guys.
It's so
Yay.
fun. See, this is the kind of thing that Peter and I want to share with you on Cosmic Tea Hour, because the alignments are going to become clearer, stronger, and more of them. And the less resistance you have to your things working out for you or the alignment, the more things are just going to flow so easily. I was telling them in the beginning, Ash, about our experience today with our friend Andrea, how everything just happened between the airline and you and her and everything. It was so serendipitous to have that experience together.
I mean, it's amazing what the universe has for you that you're just not even consciously aware most of the time, you know? It's amazing.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So tell us, how did you, so you've always had gifts. You were born gifted. Ray Charles knows that. It's so evident. Okay, so you have these gifts. They got turned down for a while, and then what happened, if you feel comfortable sharing, that guided you back to unleashing them for us?
So, I was religious my entire life. When I left, but I'm also married to a woman, and I had some issues, which, you know, we can be judged by that, like by our preference, our belief systems. But when I left religion and all of a sudden I started questioning everything, it was like I had to know about this and I had to know about this. And I started learning everything I could about each subject, and I'd move on to the next. And it happened so fast, so rapid. And I was like, I didn't realize that I was like a full, like encyclopedia, like mini encyclopedias. Like I can just intake information and hold it. And my entire life, I could never do that. So I knew I had unlocked something in my brain. And that's when I realized, like my soul had shifted. I moved into another reality. And so that's whenever this led me on this path. And then I started like tapping into my gifts, and I realized that I was really gifted. And then I started trusting myself, and then it just started coming and coming, and everything aligned up the way it was supposed to.
It's so beautiful. So with our audience, what's one tidbit of trusting yourself that you can share about your journey? Like, what was something valuable you learned that made it easier for you to trust yourself?
I mean, honestly, validation that was very valuable to me. When people give you feedback, it's one thing, but when you start getting enough feedback where you're like, oh, I really do have this. Like, I realize that I'm wrong when I second guess myself rather than getting it right the first time. And so the moment that I was like, okay, I'm going to tap into this, I'm going to trust myself and I'm just going to go with it. So whatever comes out, comes out. And I literally stopped thinking because I used to overthink things. And so whatever just flowed out, I said. And when that happened is whenever everything again shifted for me. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. So, now it's just natural.
Right. And I mean, we exchanged readings and I'm very excited. What Peter and I actually, gang, we had not introduced this to you yet, but Peter and I discussed it that we wanted more time to share experiences, lessons with you guys. So normally the structure of our show is that we have our astrology reading in the front of the show with Peter and I, and then we have a spiritual conversation, a subject, an exchange, something we offer to you guys, and then we do as many readings as possible in the last 20 minutes to a half hour. And now, what we've been experiencing over the past 2 weeks is spiritual upliftment, an inventory. The shifts are happening so fast. Things are moving incredibly quick now. I mean, it's more than words to say. It's just so much powerful energy is moving around. Yeah. And especially after the Broom interview, we spoke about everything that got us to where we are today. Where do we want to go? What our intentions for doing this podcast were. And the podcast is to really be an educational tool to create a community where we assist individuals in navigating their spiritual gifts and getting through things. So to me, I say a lot of the time, transformation is true healing, or true healing is transformation. So do things happen in life that really can affect us? 1,000%, absolutely, not taking that away from anyone. There is no time frame to how long something should take you to heal. Right. But on the other side of that, sometimes people get stuck, and they get stuck because they don't know better. Are they in ego? Right. Are they in attachment? Are they in righteous beliefs? Are they in judgment? Are you holding yourself in suffering more than you need to? Are you aware of how powerful you are? Are you aware of how powerful and impactful your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are? Are you living a life that you absolutely love? Are you doing what you love? Or are you kicking a can day in and day out, talking about wanting to do something, but not knowing what that something is? Or wanting to do something, but telling yourself you don't have that something you need in order to do that something? Because all three of us are here right now to tell you, you have the something. You may need to be awakened to the fact that you have the something, but you have the something. And when you venture into getting into alignment with yourself, like the three of us have in your own right, this is when everything opens. And I would say to you, like, great example of this is word choice. Is it a challenge or is it an opportunity? Because sometimes people go, oh, this is so hard and it's blocking me. Well, that's because of the way you're perceiving the thing that you're saying is hard to yourself. Rather say, I'm in the middle of this thing that is making me aware that I needed to grow in this spot. And without the pressure that came with it, I wouldn't necessarily prioritize taking it on. But now something outside of me is asking me to grow in that area that I didn't previously realize I needed to grow in. And now I'm going to sit here and be solution oriented and say, okay, I have what it takes to navigate this situation. I have what it takes to learn this new skill or get through this arena. And okay, source, spirit team, guide me, show me how to get through it. And now I have that built-in confidence to get through things. And I actually have more fun navigating my life, because I don't see my life as a series of problems. I see my life as a series of opportunities. And when we can get into that mindset, that's when things really start to take off for us. Just like Ash said, or Peter says, you get out of your own way and you learn how to work for yourself, not against yourself.
Well, it's also important that I have found at my age, I watch the words that I use. Are they positive? Are they negative? Because if I'm going to use negative verbiage in my talks with people, I'm going to manifest, I'm going to attract all that negativity. So a mutual person that I think we know, Teresa, Judy Goodman, said, Peter, be very careful with each word you use, because you're giving that energy out to the universe and you're going to attract it. If it's negative, that's what you're going to attract. So every day I get up and I say, I'm going to attract goodness. I'm going to attract wonderful people. I walk in the stores and I yell out, I hope everybody's having a magnificent day. Love you all. And I walk out and people say, I don't know who that was, but he was really terrific. So, I walk in the stores and restaurants to do that.
The people in Maine weren't ready for someone like Peter, because he really does walk in like, you have a great day. You have a great day. And they're like, this guy's crazy, or this guy's great.
I did this a couple of weeks ago. I was with a newspaper. I was going to do advertising, and I said to the woman, I think you're amazing, terrific. And the woman turned around and said, wait a minute, we're going to do a story on you. And I said, what? She said, you really believe what you're saying, don't you? And
yes.
I said, yes, you're incredible. You're amazing. You have all the, we want to do a story. So I think that's really not only our behavior and our actions, but we've got to put on our invisible guards every day we get up and only speak of what we want to attract.
Right. Well,
and
the feelings,
very important.
The feelings that we have inside support the affirmations that we make. If we make an affirmations but don't believe the affirmation, it's our job to tweak the verbiage until we get to a place that we can believe in it, feel it, because then we'll allow it to happen. And then we can escalate from there or expand on it from there. Oh,
right.
LB says, Peter, with exclamation points and a smiley face. This is one of the viewers who are watching with us, but they're very excited about you. So that was one thing. And then you had mentioned something too about you going to the grocery store and spreading that positivity and getting in that. One of the things that I think is very important about how Peter and I start our day, and I would encourage all of you to start your day like this as well, is get into a really phenomenal positive place by yourself. Get in the shower, play your favorite songs, speak your mantras into existence, and boast yourself up. Because the world out there, they're doing whatever they're doing. Everybody's where they're at in their level of consciousness. And it's not on you to be responsible for where somebody else is making a choice to be at. But just your positivity will, one, act as a point of attraction for what you receive, and two, will influence others, even if they're not so nice to begin with. If you have to repeatedly see them, what we'll usually find over time is that you wear them down with your shine.
Yes.
I've had that.
Me too.
So,
and sorry.
No, go ahead.
One thing that I do every day is I wake up and I say, I am living my highest vibrational life right now. And I'll always say that. And I always say I'm living my highest vibrational marriage. My wife and I are living our highest vibrational marriage. It's retraining your thought process, because your words are very powerful, but also your thoughts are. And so what you think is also what you manifest.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So as you can see, everyone, this is why we are the trio that's getting together for the next episode. episode. It's going to be very exciting. We're talking about differences between mediumship, psychic ability, channeling ability, and Ash, you're a channel. So can you just give us a little bit about what it means to channel instead of read?
Yeah. So channeling is using your senses. So I feel things. Yes, I'm a psychic medium, but I don't see spirit in my mind. I actually feel it. So I can describe it just by feeling it. And even so, you don't have to just see things. And so when you are able to tap into auras and people's energies, that's channeling. It's called flow state. Everybody does it. When you are sitting at your desk and you're typing on a computer, or you're in there cleaning and you're in your flow, like that's a flow state. You're channeling. It doesn't matter what it is, you're channeling. So what I like to do is always ask permission. May I tap into you? Can we exchange presences right now? Like a presence. Your presence, my presence. Like we always have to be in agreeable. I don't read people without permission, is how I should say that. And then once they do that, that's whenever I open up, and you can see a lot of different things. But I always ask people, can you have a couple of questions so that way I can tap in and things will pop up. And like Teresa and Peter, like you were saying earlier, you can mean one thing, but in reality, we're hearing something else. And so it's showing people. I was literally saying what you were just saying, Teresa, yesterday to a coworker. She's like, I'm stuck in this energy. I don't know how to move through it. It hurts too bad. And so I had to like ask her, well, can I tell you? And just that alone is an exchange. And then I was able to like walk her through something. It's just like your job, right? So you have to go in, say for instance, at a brand new job, you have to ask a questionnaire. It seems very simple to you, right? But you get really nervous, and after you do it the first time, you're like, oh, I can do that now. Now the next time you do it, you're like, oh, I got this. Like, that's so easy. But it's not until you put your foot in and you try it and trust yourself. It's the same thing with energy. Channeling is all about energy.
I'm so excited for everyone and everything, because the conversations that we have, much like Peter and I, go in every different direction. Talk about Atlantis, Bloomeria, alien space, cosmos, ascension, psychics, mediums. Like, we go everywhere, and we get to bring all of that in and now combine all of our experience to share with everyone. So what we are going to do from now on to make plenty of room for what we want to teach you guys or discuss with you guys is that we're going to begin by having you manifest for the readings. So instead of just trying to get to as many readings at the end as possible, we're going to pick 3 numbers every week, and it'll change. So this week it's like between 1 and 25. We're going to pick 3 numbers. We already know what they are. We wrote them down so we won't forget. And the individual who says those 3 numbers, or the individual who picks one of those numbers, they will be the individual who gets read. That way we know we have a consistent 3 readings, and we maximize our time to share tools with you, like cord cutting, healing through water, doing different types of Reiki techniques. We want to get into the techniques to give you guys a guide to navigate this wonderful time and get yourself into living the life that you want to live most. Anything else from the Peanut Gallery from you guys?
No, I think you said it very succinctly.
Yeah.
I've decided, my guide is saying, to give people their soul, the message from the purpose of the soul during the reading, which I think would be very helpful. And the guides are actually excited about what we're doing right now. That's what they are telling me. So, yeah.
All right, Peter, if anybody wants a reading with you, astrology chart, any kind of life coaching, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, they gotta get it on a spaceship created by Elon Musk. No, they can. That's
Welcome to Cosmic Tea Hour.
All right. They can contact me at 203-206-9353, or they can email me at peter_MRKS@yahoo.com. And yes, that's how they can contact me.
Wonderful. So Peter's website, phone number, and email are listed down below in the description of our YouTube channel. Ash, how do people get in touch with you?
So my phone number is 859-339-2864. My website will be up in a week. It's going to be up this weekend, but just wait a week just in case. But it is www.enlightenedvisions111.com.
Beautiful. If anybody would like to give me a call, my phone number is 631-759-1965. You can get me on Instagram at Z as in zebra, 3, the number 3, N, shine like the sun. Z3N shine. That is this episode of Cosmic Tea Hour 999. Next week we talk about healing modalities, crystals, bowls, Reiki, different types of mediumship and psychic capabilities. All three of us look forward to seeing you, and we will have a special guest with us that you do not want to meet. Love you guys, and see you later.
Thank you. Have a wondrous night.